For the last 5 months, our family's been house sitting our way around Australia, living in other people's homes, caring for their pets, and experiencing a completely different side of travel. We left Asia in April and landed in Australia, planning to earn some money and save for the next big adventure back in Asia. But the cost of living and accommodation can be crippling, so we decided to house sit and explore Australia without paying a cent in rent. It's been fun, surprising, occasionally chaotic, and definitely not what most people imagine when they hear free accommodation. Today I'm sharing what house sitting in Australia is really like, the good, the bad, and the completely unexpected. We started house sitting as a way to travel long term without blowing our budget. After slow travel in Europe and Southeast Asia for most of last year, we landed in Australia with one goal: to explore slowly, to save money, and still have a home base wherever we went. We're Aussie citizens because we lived in Australia many years ago before we went back to the UK. So work visas aren't an issue for us. We're also really fortunate that we've got friends and family here in Brisbane, Gold Coast, Melbourne, Victoria. So we have contacts and people here who can help us out if we get really stuck. But instead of paying for expensive accommodation or paying rent or overstaying our welcome in friends' houses, we look after other people's homes and their pets while they travel. And honestly, it's been one of the best decisions we've made. We just turned up at the next house sit in Torquay. It's quite early in the morning. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning and they've just left. So we're going to go and unload the car and make ourselves at home and meet the dog, Bertie. So if you've never heard of it before, house sitting is basically an exchange. So you live in someone's home for free, and in exchange you take care of their house, their pets, their plants, and anything else that they need looking after. There are websites like Trusted House Sitters where you can apply for sits all over the country and across the world. We use trustedhousesitters.com and we've had such a great experience with them. So how it works is the homeowners and the sitters register on the website. They go through security checks, references. Then the homeowners advertise their homes and the dates that they're going away on the site, and the sitters apply. So you might apply for a few before you actually get any, and we've found that having kids can sometimes make things more difficult because some people, they don't want children in their house. Maybe the animals aren't good with kids. Maybe they don't have enough space for couple and children as well. But they'll always let you know. And then once you get accepted, normally you do like a phone call or a video call, or sometimes you've actually even visited the house before the sit, just so that you can meet the owners, talk about the pet's needs, talk about routines, talk about what they expect and what needs doing, and make sure you've got all the instructions that you need for the house and for the animals. Most sits that we've done, they range from a few days or a week up to even a couple of months. The longest we've had was Gold Coast, and that was 4.5 weeks. And the shortest has just been a couple of days over the weekend. Over 5 months, we've done 8 different house sits, each one completely different. We started in Sydney in a city house, then on to Melbourne where we took care of 2 dogs and a 19-year-old cat. We travelled up to the Gold Coast for a month-long beach break. So we had the beaches, the warm weather, and then we came back down to the Great Ocean Road in Victoria. We stayed in the small coastal town surrounded by surf shops, national parks, and kangaroos in every caravan park and golf course. People think house sitting is like an endless holiday, but actually it's just like real life, but in someone else's house. Mornings usually start with feeding the pets, making coffee, checking messages from the homeowners, and then we do homeschooling, I do some work, and then we just go out and explore the nearby places.
Our first trip with Bertie and a car. Woo!
We've learnt to adjust quickly. We've got new kitchens, new routines, new beds every few weeks, but it's also given us that routine that we craved and that we loved after travelling long term. The best part, I think, is the homes themselves. We've stayed in places we would never be able to afford. We've had ocean views, you know, wood burning stoves, beautiful furnishings, beautiful kitchens, and some seriously friendly pets. But more than that, it's local life. You know, you're not just a tourist. You're not staying in some hotel with all the other tourists in the tourist centres doing tourist things. You're living in real neighbourhoods with local people. You're meeting people. You're finding the local markets. You're finding the quiet beaches and the really good cafes. It's the kind of travel that helps you to slow down but feel like you're still connected. Of course, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. We've had a few issues as well. We've had house sits fall through last minute, cancellations due to sickness, so we've had to scramble to find somewhere to stay. We've had long drives between homes where Jeff's working in Anglesey and me and Jai are house sitting 45-minute drive away. And there's also the responsibility, you know, you can't just house sit for a month but take off for the weekend because you need to be there for the animals, you need to be there for the dogs and the cats. And some animals need more care than others. We've had animals with medical needs, very old animals that have got different needs as well. We've had a dog who was 17 and she was blind and deaf and couldn't always control her bowels and bladder in the house, so that was fun. And some are just very shy or very unsure of new people and just need a little bit extra TLC and a bit extra attention. But I think that's part of it. The house sitting, it teaches you to be flexible, and it's also given Jai a way of looking after animals and having a pet without actually having a pet. So it's perfect for traveling family, traveling kids who love animals. So everyone asks as well, how much does house sitting actually save you? And to be honest, obviously every country would be different, every place would be different. If you're staying in the middle of Sydney, it saved us a fortune the weekend we stayed there, because if we'd stayed in the city, it would have been hundreds for accommodation. Obviously the accommodation is free, which is a huge, huge part of budgeting when you're traveling, especially in Australia, where even a small modest Airbnb can cost a fortune. We still pay for our food and car, fuel, and the basic things, but obviously there's no rent and there's no bills. We also have to pay for the membership to Trusted House Sitter site, which I think is about, well, it varies, depends what you get. You can either pay, I think it's $100 for a year, up to maybe $250 for the year. But overall, we've saved thousands by doing this and still seeing some really beautiful parts of Australia. So if you're thinking of doing this, here are a few tips that we've learned along the way. So start early, because the good sits can go fast. So if you know you're going to be in a place at a certain date, I really suggest start searching straight away. Write a really good profile. So take your time and make this profile make you stand out. You know, this is how you're selling yourself online on Trusted House Sitters against all of the other sitters that are out there. So talk about your experience, your lifestyle while you're doing this, the pets that you've had, availability, all of those things. Be flexible, because some of the really good sits have come up last minute actually. So the more flexible you are, the better, and the more interesting house sits you're likely to get. Always video call the owners, or speak to them at least, because it does help to build trust, and you get to know them, you get to know what they need and what they want. So you can both set expectations as well that way. Plus it's really nice to have a face to put to the name when you're house sitting, because I guarantee you will need to speak to them at least once while you're there. Even if it's just to send them a short video or photo of the pet, just to say, look, everything's okay, which is what we normally do. But it is nice to put a face to the name so you know who you're talking to. And lastly, make sure you leave the house as you found it. Clean, tidy, in good condition, nothing broken, nothing damaged, because that's how you get your good reviews. And good reviews are gold dust. If you have all 5-star reviews, you're way more likely to get chosen for future house sits than if you've got a 1-star or 4-star reviews. So house sitting has really shown us that it's possible to full-time travel in expensive countries like Australia, like Europe, like the US, Japan, without constantly finding new hotels and without constantly living out of your bag as well. House sitting has given us the stability that we really need, especially with Jai, with a young child. I think the stability and the routine is something that we miss when we're traveling full time, because in some of the houses, especially the longer house sits, we can really make ourselves at home. You know, you can go shopping, do your weekly shop, you can use the fridge and the freezer, you can cook dinner every night, breakfast, all of those things. You can unpack, you can hang your clothes up, you can watch TV, you know, all of the things that you might miss sometimes if you're just moving from hotel to hotel to hotel. We have learnt though how little we really need to travel. You don't need bags and bags and bags of things. You don't need to overpack. And it also has shown us how adaptable kids are. You know, they just adapt to anything. As long as they've got food, you know, something to play with, a play park nearby, the beach, they're fine, they're good. And you know, it's made us really grateful to all of the brilliant homeowners that have trusted us to look after their home, look after their pets while they're away, because without them, we would have had to pay for accommodation. So it's been really fantastic. So if you've ever thought about traveling in Australia or anywhere that's expensive, but the cost has held you back, house sitting might be the ticket to that long-term budget travel that you're looking for. We're going to keep sharing more of our journey as a family as we travel around Australia and Asia, and we'll also be sharing plenty of tips for budget travel. So hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment if you've ever tried house sitting, if it's something that you're considering, if you have got any questions about it. I'd love to hear, and I would always read your comments and get back to you. And if house sitting is something that interests you, go to the link below, the trustedhousesitters.com link below. Click on that link and you'll be able to get 25% off your fee when you join.